Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our September Saturday morning mini class. It is back to school week, and I hope all the students in our lives have had a good week. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to give them a little something to celebrate that first week and have a little something that they can keep their pencils in? So I thought I found this idea on Pinterest, and it's a cute little pencil box. This is my prototype, so when it folds up, it looks like that, and you can put your pencils in there. It's a nice, easy project. You could easily adapt this for putting a chocolate bar inside, or if you made it not too tall, you could put a gift box or a gift card inside. So even though we're calling it a pencil box today, it doesn't have to be. Just a great little box format. So we are going to start with a piece of cardstock. Mine is black. You can use whatever paper coordinates with your pattern paper, because we're going to use that to decorate. But you want this to be 9 1/4 by 7 1/2. I had cut mine because I had a piece of scrap at home, so I just had to cut off a sliver. So 9 1/4 long by 7 1/2 tall. So, everyone, if you could please put yourself on mute, and then if you have questions, unmute, and we will have a little chat. So now that you've got your paper cut, we're going to do our scoring.
Sheri, sorry to bother you.
No
when
worries.
when you're talking into the camera and to your right shoulder, we can hear you. When you talk straight ahead and to your left, you aren't on a microphone.
Okay, so you can't hear me when I'm talking here?
When you're talking, looking at us, we can. When you look straight ahead or to your left, we completely lose you.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you for that feedback. I will do my best to angle myself accordingly. So here you can hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, I will try
you.
my best to remember that, and if I don't, just remind me.
Okay.
All right, so now that we have our 9 1/4 by 7 1/2, we are going to score. And so we are going to score at, on the long side, we're going to score, let me move my notes over here, and that way I don't have to turn. We're going to score at 3/4 of an inch and 1 1/4 inch. So 3/4 of an inch, 0.75, all the way down. And then at 1 1/4, so 1/2 an inch along further. So let me see if I can angle. So you've got 3/4 of an inch and then 1/2 an inch. So 3/4 of an inch, 1 1/4. And I'm going to have to do math here on mine because my scoreboard isn't long enough. If you've got your full 12 by 12, your last score line on this long side is 8 3/4. So I'm at 9 1/4, and I want 8 3/4. So I need to take off 1/2 an inch on this side. All right, so on that long side, you have 3/4, 1 1/4, 8 3/4, or 1/2 an inch in from that right-hand side if you needed to switch it like I did. Rotate it, and on this short end, we are going to score at 3. So that's at 3 inches, then at 3 1/2 inches. And then move along, we're going to score at 6 1/2 and 7. 6 1/2. Oh, come on. And then again, I have to flip mine, but so 6 1/2 and 7. So if you're looking at your piece like this, you're going to have scored at 3, 3 1/2, 6 1/2, and 7. And that's what makes our little box. Now we have to do a little bit of trimming. And I'm going to use my prototype here. So this is what we want it to look like. So if you have your paper with the single panel, that little single score line at the top and the double score line at the bottom. First, you're going to see there's a little section here with two little rectangles. We are going to cut those completely away. So now you've got a little notch. Your next section over, you're going to cut up both of those sections, but we're only going to cut away the bottom section. So we've got this little tiny flap here. Here, let me. So you've got a little flap making that little square. This long section here, we're going to completely cut away. So I'm going to cut up this score line to this second line, and I'm going to cut right along So now this is starting to take shape. It almost looks like a jack-o'-lantern with a single tooth. You've got this section, you've got a little tab here, then you've got an open section. This little middle section here now, just like this one, we're going to take away the bottom part, snip all the way up so we have a second little tab. So now our jack-o'-lantern has two teeth. So we've got a little tab here, little tab here. This piece here is now our lid for our box. But yeah, so if you wish, if you got it handy, what I did on this one is I just angled the corners, but if you have a corner rounder, you can also just round the corner around that piece. Oh, uh-oh, what happened here? Can you guys still hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
You can hear me? Okay, because I
Yeah.
seemed, oh, there we go. I seemed to froze for a second. There we go. We're back. All right. So you should have, if you missed that because my screen froze, you should have a little opening here, a little flap, an opening here, a little flap, and then a two-paneled flap here, which I rounded the corners. We're going to flip it 180 degrees. And this little corner piece here, we're going to completely cut away. We're going to make another tooth here. So we've got a little flap. We're going to make this into another little flap by making those two little cuts. And there you go. All of our base prep is done. So now you can go ahead and fold along all of those score lines. Our box is ready to form, but I always like to put my pattern paper on first before I build it. That way I can press down and don't worry about crushing anything. So to decorate our box, all you need are 2 pieces of pattern paper that measure 2 3/4 of an inch wide, 7 1/4 of an inch long, and you need 2 of them. I have used, this is from Die Cuts with a View, DCWV. It's one of their graduation papers, but I thought the little light bulbs were super cute and good for back to school. And because I have boys, I didn't want anything too girly. And because he's a high school student, I didn't want anything too primary. So this is a perfect little box for me to make for him. So once you've got those pieces cut, and just to give you the measurements one more time, it's 2 3/4 by 7 1/4. I'm just going to adhere them to those large panels on our box. Just using my tape runner, nothing fancy. Oh, that was- And if you're using up pieces that you may have left over from a school layout, you don't have to do the same paper front and back. Just make sure you get it the right direction up, because we don't want upside down like that. All right, my box is decorated. Now I am ready to form the panels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of score tape right along this outside edge, and I'm going to put a piece of score tape just on one of these little strips here. You don't need to do both, just one of those little sections. And I got my score tape here on my little stacker. I'm using 7mm score tape, which is 1/4 of an inch. You could go up to the 9 1/2, I think, because I think that's just smaller than 1/2 an inch, but this to me is a nice size to fit in the little score area. And again, the reason why I'm doing this bottom one at the same time, because it's so much easier to do when it's flat. All right, time to build our box. So I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to lay it flat this way. So my panel with the tape is folding over. And then I'm going to just fold over along that next score line. And that should give you nice, even folds. Because your box really should lie flat with the bottom not assembled. So I can now pop it up. And there we go. And you know what? I did not grab my circle punch. At this point, if you wanted to, you could cut a little half circle up here if you wanted a little thumb notch to lift it up. I don't have my circle punch. This 2 1/2 inch one will be way too big. And you don't need it. It just might make it a little bit easier. So when I go back downstairs, I'll probably do that. So now our sides are built. With our bottom, what we're going to do is the little side panels fold in. I'm going to peel the backing off my tape, fold it down, fold that top one over. And voila, our box is complete. So you would just tuck your little lid inside. You know what? I may need to trim that down. If your lid is having difficulty fitting in, this is where maybe the angle will help it just a little bit. I'm not going to be able to do that now. There we go. What a beautiful little gift box. And again, we called it a pencil box today because it's September and back to school, but you could do it for so many. Oh, there I froze again. Have to learn to go slow. You could use this for so many different gifts or tokens, or throw a chocolate bar in there and just adjust your measurements if you need it a little bit smaller. The last thing I'm going to do, just to add a little bit of embellishment, you could stamp a sentiment on there. You could put a little message. But even though this is for my son, Charlie, I'm going to do a bow because, you know, bows are fun. And I don't know that I've shown you guys the bow maker, which we've gotten in. If you watch my demo days, you saw the bow maker, but especially with Christmas coming and lots of bows to be made, I thought it would be worth showing you the bow maker as well. Let me put my score table away. So this handy dandy tool will make bows of any size with any size of ribbon. I guess any size up to that point. But I'm going to open up my ribbon. And I'm going to hold it with my tail off to the right. I'm going to wrap it around like so. Let me just move the camera. Oops, sorry guys. There we go. So tail off to the right, wrap it around once. I'm going to tuck my tail underneath here. Bring it back over. Tail now comes underneath and through. Did I do that right? I did. Then I can lift my bow off. Look at that perfect little bow. Trim off my tails. Grab a glue dot. Now I'm stuck to my glue dot. There we go. And voila. Just a nice little touch on the end there. So that is it for our September Saturday morning Zoom this week. You've got that handy dandy little box, and I think it's one of those things that'll be pretty addictive once you get into making them and can find lots of great uses for them. Does anybody have any questions?
No, that's
Thank
great.
you, Sheri. That was great.
All right. That was a short and sweet one this morning, but I'm thankful that you guys joined us this early. And once I get this downloaded, it should be up on YouTube, I would say by Monday if you need a replay.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Sheri.
you. Have a great day.